Yeah, that's what I was saying. No, maybe AI can become Shah Rukh Khan, but it can't really become Shah Rukh Khan. Like it can just have fame. But I hope he gets it right. Please
Um,
soon get it done quickly, Shah Rukh, if you're listening to this.
Audio Jungle.
I really, really appreciate, taking the time. So, everyone, this is Akshay. He's been working in the software engineering in India for about 5, 6 years now. He has a lot of insights, and I wanted to talk to him about where AI is going, what it looks like for the youth and the new people coming into software engineering in India. Students who are doing engineering, who are coming out of the other end. What are the challenges that they're going to face? What the landscape looks like? What the market looks like? What are some growth possibilities? What are some hurdles that they can encounter on the way? Because there will be some, I'm pretty sure, um, with the way AI is growing. So let's dive right into it. Over to you. You tell me where you want to start.
First of all, thanks for having me. And I've also been very excited, and congratulations on starting Tajdeed. My best wishes. And AI, very interesting, very hip these days. Fairly new to most of us Indians. We anyway lag behind a few years from the US and other parts of the world. Uh, Lot to talk about. Where do we start? Okay,
We
let me
think,
first
how
introduce
about,
myself.
yeah, exactly. Let's begin about, let's begin with the beginning, like,
Let's give the people some context. So I've been working in the software industry for like around 6 years now. Started out with a major MNC. Then right now I'm working with a healthcare product-based organization, uh, having the perks of working from home.
that's one of the
So
very great perks.
yeah, yeah, absolutely loving it.
I can see that.
So by by any means, I am not any sort of an expert on AI or anything, but I have my own interests, and AI is one of them. So I have my opinions on few things, which I guess we'll explore today. And I'd want to know from you also, because I know that you are also interested in everything that's going on, geopolitical events, AI, everything. So I guess it's going to be interesting.
Pretty big, actually, and the reason I wanted to talk to you is because we have such diverse insights from
Hmm.
very different parts of the world, and where
Hmm.
AI landscape is very different. So I'm sitting here in the Bay
Absolutely.
Area in California, Silicon Valley, where AI is happening. It's being built around me as we speak, right? So
True,
that's
true,
a
true.
very it's so what I'm seeing here is a very different probably landscape from what I'll see, when I go back home, or from what you're seeing. But also I wanted to talk to you not as an AI expert, because I also have my reservations in talking to somebody who's working in AI, in terms of how much they will be able to reveal about the other side. So I want to
Yeah.
talk to people who are on the front runners, on the front lines of, working in an industry that is dramatically changing.
Who are
As
also threatened by AI.
Yeah, yes, yes, greatly. And like, I'm sure you have juniors working with you, and like people coming in, or newer people coming in, who have probably a little bit better idea, but then there are
Mhm.
seniors who don't have that much of an idea because it just happened like this. I
True,
was
true.
talking to Raghu Pandey on a previous podcast, and we were talking about how fast the change has been. Do you also feel that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was talking to someone the other day that it's taken a while for us to reach here. Like, I guess around, it's been what, around 35, 40 years since Bill Gates started out.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
right? And see, it's been, I guess, around 18 months since OpenAI was founded. And it was like 2 months for it to reach its first 100 million
Yeah.
users, whereas for Netflix, even I think it took around 3.5 years or more, I suppose. But the gap is vast. For it to reach its first million or first 100 million users, it's dramatic. If you see the numbers, it's shocking actually, and the growth is definitely not linear; it's exponential.
It's
And
expensive. It,
as
it
far as
yeah, it's
hmm,
almost like, um it came out of nowhere. It's like in, so Raghu Pandey said this very interesting word. He said that AI is not a technology anymore, it's an entity, and it's here to stay. And that just stuck with me, because the way it came out of nowhere and it has captured everything so quickly, from, like, customer service chats to, of course, like, there are lot of websites like ChatGPT now. Are there a lot of websites in India also that are like sort of, that came out of ChatGPT with using the same GPT model?
So as soon as ChatGPT launched, everybody started out their own sort of, what do you say, genies and
Yeah, yeah,
like their own chat bots basically,
yeah.
but none were as nearly as successful as ChatGPT. As we'll discuss further, what's the reason behind that. But yeah, people just tried to replicate what they were doing, but
Hmm.
the point is they weren't able to do it as well, so they didn't really get any success as such. But before I forget,
Hmm.
you mentioned entity, right?
Yeah.
There was a movie released recently, I think 2023, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, that series, that famous series, right? And the enemy in that movie this time was not a human, it was an AI, and the name of the AI was entity.
Wow. Interesting. I watch movies
Yes.
all the time. I don't know how I missed this. Maybe I'm just only Dharma Productions. It's not too far before Dharma Productions also picks up on the AI, and there's this
Not too far for
villain.
sure.
It's like, yeah, but that'll be interesting. I
Mm,
will be all for it. Like, I want to see, AI as some, like Indian character who's doing all
Shah
the
Rukh Khan fighting some AI.
Shah Rukh Khan, na, even AI cannot replace. Okay. No AI can replace Shah Rukh. Like, AI will have to become Shah Rukh Khan in order to be successful. Like, take Shah Rukh Khan's face and his hands and combo style. Like, that I refuse.
I'm
That I
sure
draw the line, man.
all Indians believe the same thing. I'm very sure. Very interesting point there as well.
But
So
okay,
yeah.
let me begin by asking you, what are you seeing in your everyday work? I'm sorry, right now, and how the landscape is changing with new people coming into the job. The kind of job roles, I think, will also change. The kind of skills
Mhm.
needed are changing. So what are you seeing, like, while you're right into it every day?
I'll start right from the ground zero where I'm connected with some of my, juniors, be it, juniors who are working right now or who are looking to seek jobs right out of their college. And the job market is definitely evolving, and right now it's a little shaky. Some credit of that goes to AI for sure. We are seeing job cuts in major companies like IBM because of AI. Uh, Various nuances and aspects to it, but yes, it has started to affect the job market, and we are seeing its impact for sure. And see, the main thing is, r- as of now, we also need to understand that, okay, if we are talking about jobs and job markets and jobs being replaced by AI, the big threat that, okay,
Yeah.
all the jobs will go and engineers and everything will be replaced by AI, it's not like that right now. At least that's something that's not as much of a threat at this point. We fear that it might be. How soon, how late, we don't know. But we need to understand that there are two sorts of AI, Sumera. One
Okay.
is strong AI, one is weak AI, right?
Okay.
Weak
Okay.
AI is like something that does a very specific job. For example, ChatGPT. You ask it
Right.
questions, it gives you answers,
Right.
right? Then there's something called AGI, artificial general intelligence,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is which is something that we don't have yet, which is something which is under works right now, and which will probably take 3 or 4 Einsteins and a couple more years to become a reality. But that would be called strong AI,
Hmm.
right? So the AI we have right now, it can do certain specific tasks. Now, if you think about the jobs, right? If first of all, talking about jobs makes it sound like we are talking about a particular, data entry thing or something like that. Let's talk about careers in general, right?
Right.
Uh, First of all, my thing would be for any fresher or any person who's thinking about, the job markets and AI, they should think about a career in general, not a specific job.
Right.
But if it comes down to a job, what kind of jobs would AI replace? So, if there are certain rules associated with the job that you have to follow these set of rules, and these are sort of the repetitive tasks that need to be done,
Yes.
right? Those are going to be the first
Once.
jobs that will get affected, that will be replaced by AI, that's for sure. Till this point, if we talk about, like, for example, say my job, right?
Mhm.
What I do is I work in development, I write code, and my main area is Salesforce. So I work with CRMs, I develop CRMs for various companies. So if I think that can AI replace my job at this point, not so much. Why?
Right.
Because it takes a lot of understanding, communication across teams, and accumulation of data, processing it through, and
Mhm.
then doing a lot of tasks which right now AI is not capable of managing. What
Right.
it can help me with is maybe getting a couple of code snippets here and there, so smaller tasks. So at this point, AI is not that powerful. Maybe in the future, we don't know. That's a big question.
So that actually is very interesting because and it's actually not surprising to me that this seems like a part 2 of a previous AI podcast that we made, because and I think it's going to be like this for this entire series, because the things that are coming up are basically the same thing. Everyone's saying the same things in terms of the skills and the jobs, the repetitive jobs that are going to go. And there were 4 skills that we talked about last time, which was the 4 C's: the creativity,
Mhm.
uh, collaboration, communication,
Mhm.
and critical thinking. These are the kind of jobs that are not easy to replace right now, which I think is part of your job profile as well.
So you mentioned, so, sorry to cut you, creativity, communication, collaboration, and
Critical thinking.
critical thinking. No, I think I do not agree fully with you, because let's talk about the first point, creativity.
Hmm.
Uh, AI has already taken up the tasks, the jobs of graphic designers. That's well known. But what it has also done is to start threatening the music industry. So,
Yes, that's another thing
I,
that's a separate entire section that I'm going to talk to you about. I mean, if
yes.
I don't talk to you about it, then I don't know who I'm going to talk to about it. Because like this is so interesting. What I thought initially was that maybe it's not going to happen right away with these jobs. Maybe it'll take a little more time for AI to come and get these as well. But on the other side, we also didn't expect AI to become such a big boom so quickly anyway. All of this was predicted. All of this was predicted that all those debates we used to do in school, technology versus XYZ, human creativity and resources.
It's all becoming real now.
It's all becoming real now, but it means that it was predicted. But
Mhm.
how quickly is what we didn't predict accurately.
Yeah, what I was also surprised with, that me being some sort of a musician, ex-musician, whatever, I enjoy some things, some whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it some songs or pieces of art, but whatever you want to call it, created by AI. So, like, one of my favorite artists is this this South Asian legend, singer, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who's no more with us. But uh, I heard a lot of songs in his voice, which were created by AI, and it was awesome. It was
Yeah.
fantastic
The thing is
to be
that
able to hear those songs in his
for
voice.
anybody who doesn't know, this man is a legendary singer. He is, I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about,
Oh,
Nusrat Saab to, bhai. But like, Akshay himself he's a trained Hindustani classical music singer, and he has a beautiful voice. He has won the President Award for the Balshri. Am I correct? I got it right, I think,
yes.
this time. Yeah. So he President Balshri Award, and he's just an amazing singer who can give a good tough competition to a lot of people in Bollywood right now. It's just that he likes to call himself ex-musician because he doesn't have the time to work on it, or like
Wow.
deal with your Instagram page or do something about it, which I've been telling you for a while to do, because just I don't know why. But don't you ever call yourself ex-musician again. But this is also the reason I said that. I also want to ask you, as definitely as an engineer, but also as a musician, liking Nusrat Saab's remakes by AI is one thing, But do you feel comfortable with that kind of, technology taking over something so sacred to so many people? And then there is also that debate. I like this episode. Let me bring this episode up of Guilty Minds. If you watched it, I'm not sure. Um,
No.
Guilty Minds has this one particular episode which is about an algorithm
Hmm.
versus musicians who create their music. So
Hmm.
now there is one person, one side there's this algorithm, this computer software that takes up, bits and pieces of music from different parts of different songs and makes something new, which is
Hmm.
probably AI powered, I'm not sure. But if
Hmm.
it wasn't in the series, it in real world, it might just be. Right. And then there are these musicians who've been doing, hard work for over the years, who are making that, if there's the sound of like drums, somebody's playing drums in the background, there's guitar,
Hmm.
somebody's playing guitar, all of
Hmm.
that. So there's this
Hmm.
debate about, again, conventional and unconventional methods of music also. So do you feel at all threatened about this trend with AI in and music at all, in terms of just as a singer, as a musician?
That's a good question. That's a good question. For that, we need to also understand that how does this work? So this works based on training. We have to train the AI to be able to learn somebody's voice, to be able to replicate it.
Hmm.
So the people who are at the highest level of threat are the ones whose data is available in the market.
Right.
For example, Nusrat Saab. Now his songs are available. Multiple songs are available throughout the market. He's no more with us, but again, the thing is that his voice, I don't think, has a copyright as such, right? The songs might have a copyright, but his voice doesn't.
Yeah.
So people are using that. Now that brings us to the next question. For a person like Sonu Nigam, who is still alive and who would not want his voice to be used by an AI as such, so people are getting their voices and everything, like their faces and their virtual. I'm forgetting the term for it, but their virtual image basically copyrighted in some way, so that it cannot be used without their
Seems
legal
bizarre,
permissions.
doesn't it? Like, I have, if I have to copyright my face and my voice, it seems a little bizarre.
It is. It is. People are. I recently read Anil Kapoor got it done, and it was kind of a big thing among stars of Bollywood that all of them were getting their what's it called? I guess something like a digital identity or something. They're
Yeah,
getting
virtual
all of
identity.
that
I think I
copyrighted.
heard
Virtual
something
identity,
like that.
something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was saying. No, maybe AI can become Shah Rukh Khan, but it can't really become Shah Rukh Khan. Like, it will just have to stay. But I hope he gets it right. Please
um,
soon get it done quickly, Shah Rukh, if you're listening to this. I will. I
Depending
know
on the number of movies Shah Rukh has, I wouldn't be surprised if you see an
already has
AI
a lot.
generated Shah Rukh Khan movie.
Yeah, that just like takes away the whole charm, man. Like, see, this is what I'm talking about.
True.
I still love Shah Rukh, right? But I
Mhm.
don't want AI to become Shah Rukh and fool me. That's just playing with my emotions at that point.
That unfortunately might not be very far. We are already seeing like there are tools available which can not only generate lifelike videos. Of course, there need to be few improvements here and there.
Yeah,
If you look carefully, you can figure out that it is still AI.
yeah.
There was a very famous photograph. The photo generation through AI is not a surprising thing anymore, but you can still detect there are some issues here and there. So there was a famous photo of Donald Trump, which was AI generated. Uh, but if you look closely, that photo has Donald Trump's hand like awkwardly small. So you can figure out that okay.
Are the whole, even like, that's what I was also coming to next, that while AI is getting stronger and evolving every day, people are also getting smart in terms of detecting AI in places. So like, if you write, for example, the script of maybe this podcast through AI,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you've known me for what, over 10 years, right? Even if somebody who does, first, for the people who know me will know that
Hmm.
I don't talk like that, because it can
Hmm.
it can give me words, it can't give me the way I frame sentences, right? It
I
can.
might have to differ with you on that. It can.
God, you're dropping such
It's
bombshells today.
they were dropped on me, so I am just passing it on. The thing is that it's all a matter of how much data you are training the AI on. if I give like 100 or not even 100, maybe for example, we were talking about like voice, right?
Yeah.
So if you give like three or two or three songs of any particular singer, it will be able to replicate up to like 85-90% the same exact voice. You can
And then
transfer a Sonu Nigam's song to KK's voice or Atif's voice. I'm
not
just
a lot
talking
of
about.
people can detect that then.
No, people won't be able to detect that. That's what I'm saying. Up to 85-90%, it would be able to replicate. And think if I give like 10 songs, it would be able to replicate almost like 95 to 100%. So
You're
that's
right.
the same with your handwriting and the way you form your
Yes,
sentences. If I give it 10 pages of your handwriting, it would be able to replicate your handwriting.
you are a
And if
Delulu.
I give it like 5-10 photos, and then your digital identity is there with the AI. So
Hmm.
it is pretty scary, but then again, there are regulations that are being put into place
See,
by
that
various countries.
that is also what I was coming to next, that first of all, as there's another challenge that I say in this is that you are a young musician, you haven't recorded songs for studios and put them out for the world to see, or you haven't, which you should have done till now. I don't know what you're doing, but your people should know your voice by now. But my personal bias aside, I think there are a lot more people like you who may, when they're beginning, not have the resources to copyright their face or their voice or their lyrics or their music, the music that they've composed. So I think it does. Is it fair to say that that again, that inequality keeps coming back into play, that there are some people who might be able to do it and safeguard their art, but some people who might not have the resources to do that are somewhere
Maybe
consequences.
I don't really know how to, what's the like authority which gives that particular copyright on that virtual digital identity.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it takes to get that done. But uh, again, it's been happening throughout, right? Before AI also, these small artists
Hmm.
did get like their works got tagged and onto some big names. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to name. Maybe
Yeah.
who
Of
cares? Like
course.
it's just us. So like for
So
example, I know some of the big Bollywood directors, right, who have no real connection to music as such. They have
yeah,
been
it was a
judges on
whole
major.
thing a couple decades ago. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Right. So they used to take songs from junior musicians
And in
and
fact, that
tag
was
them
a
on their
trend in,
names.
like, in almost all industries that people used to, so it's just,
Used
I,
to happen.
the way I see it now is that that inequality will widen with AI in every sector.
Yes. Absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. And it will go hand in hand. Things will evolve. People will try to regulate it, but then the hackers or people who try to find some
yeah,
vulnerabilities, they will again try to. This will keep going on for a while until we have some
solid legal
strong
frame.
solution in place. And that's the thing, right, Sumera? Right now, we don't really know the scope of AI. We
That's
don't
another
really
thing.
know it, what
Yeah.
it can or cannot do. If we talk about AGI, it's everything. AGI is basically like having an intelligence like a human being. You train an AI under a lab, and then you put it into a different circumstance entirely. You put it onto Thar Desert, right? And you expect it to understand what is around it and what it should do. It can't do that right now, but
Right.
someday we are hoping that it might be able to. And then imagine the possibilities. It's just a matter of imagination. All these things you see in movies, some part of it might really be true, and it's not as far away. We might be able to, our children might be able to see, they would definitely see it, our parents might be able to see it, is what I meant.
That's
So
scary. I mean,
it
so
is.
that also brings me to the very specific challenges that this the because of the AI boom, I think there are certain very specific challenges that in engineering students will face.
Hmm.
Some could be like the technology is increasing and changing and evolving so rapidly that there's almost no time to catch on. Then
Hmm.
there's a huge skills gap, which I want to talk about in a little bit detail further down. Then there's also the ethical and societal implications. Like we were talking earlier about the hallucinating AI, and there's
Hmm.
also now AI GF and the girlfriend and boyfriend situation. Like
Hmm.
I don't know where I was reading. Soon you'll be able to order. If it keeps going like this, you'll be able to order a girlfriend or a boyfriend from Amazon. Like, it's just scary to think about that.
I am thinking of a Black Mirror episode which had the exact same thing. But yeah, it might not be as far away as we think it is. It's just a matter of adding an AI to a robot.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and with technology comes loneliness as well. So these trends will also soon be developed, and sort of we'll see more of these as well, and will come a whole package of other evils. So what are
true,
these,
true.
like, in terms of these few challenges that we talked about? What do you think you're seeing with the newer kids that are coming into software engineering, and like, how are
Mhm.
they able to deal with the technology, the skills gap, and all of these considerations, the ethical,
Mhm.
societal considerations as well?
I guess there are two parts to this question. First is generally the challenges to AI and its impact to the society.
Yeah.
The second one being the job market and students and what challenges would they be facing in this evolving situation. To the first one, it's a very interesting topic for me. Last year, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, was very famously fired suddenly,
Yeah, padoti
and
hai.
पूछा नहीं तूने उससे क्यों क्या हुआ भाई रेफरल वगैरह
It's very interesting to see all of this. I'll also get, I'll add to that a little bit. When these layoffs started happening, right? These Google, Microsoft layoffs. The thing is, I live in a place which falls in the middle of Meta, Google, Apple, and like all of this is in one line, and I'm in the middle, right? So,
Wow. Hmm.
so when we used to go out, there is, first of all, there's the Tesla trend in India. This is just to say that, like, Tesla trend over here in the Bay Area, just to say that how quickly Indians catch up on technology. Every single Tesla that I have seen in the past week has been driven by an Indian. Like,
Wow.
if you're standing out at a traffic jam, sort of office traffic, you will see only Indians in Teslas. And
Tell me something. Do they have their hands on the steering? I
no,
guess
most
not.
of them don't. Most of And it is just like, it's just that it also, while it's scary and all of that, but it's also interesting how
Such an Indian thing.
such an Indian thing to do. Kuch naya aaya hai and I want to be all over it. Like, I
Oh God.
that tendency is every, even here it is very clearly visible. Now the other thing is that when these layoffs happen, a lot of people, the Indians that I know in the community that I live, lost their jobs because a lot of people work there. So we've also been disproportionately affected because we are also a bigger demographic in these companies. And to think that not only are Indians being affected here in the Silicon Valley, अभी जो घर में हैं, उनको तो पता भी नहीं है क्या हुआ है.
True,
Where
true.
the ripple effects of this, by the time it reaches home in India, it's going to be something else completely. So many people lost their H1Bs because they lost their jobs. And then,
Hmm. Hmm.
suddenly you've lived here for 6 years and now you pack up and you go. It's a different thing
Hmm.
for an
Hmm.
American citizen, and it's a very different thing for somebody who's here on a visa when you
Hmm.
do a
Hmm.
job like that. So I think that has
Right.
also somewhat transpired into, ghar vapsi sort of situation, like in this context.
Mhm.
Chalo ghar
No,
abhi
it's
ho.
not all scary, you know. There's a good quotation
There
I
are
heard somewhere.
opportunities.
There are opportunities, and this quotation sums it up by saying that, like uh, AI will not take your job. AI won't take your job. Some person knowing AI will,
Yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
there are ways around it. We'll talk about it. But yeah,
Okay.
let me tell you that famous incident I was telling you about. So Sam Altman, he was
Yeah.
fired and then rehired back as the CEO in a couple of days. So there are like around I think five or six board members of OpenAI,
Yeah.
which is basically the parent company of ChatGPT. So there are sections among them. One section focusing on the regulation, on trying to understand AI and
Hmm.
regulate it, put some rules on
Hmm.
what the limits should be and what it should be. And then there's the other section which is so OpenAI started out as a non-profit organization, then it formed a subsidiary of its own, which started taking funding from various companies like Microsoft and others. And then it works on a capped model. So on the initial investment up to 100x, uh, will go to that subsidiary, and if the profit exceeds that, it will come back as a donation to OpenAI, which is the parent company.
Okay.
And Sam Altman, being a capitalist himself, started thinking more about the money, obviously, and he
Yeah.
started focusing on getting as much funding as possible in turn to drive the company faster and faster. And there was this other guy, Ilya, who was focusing on the regulations. So all of that happened, and then there was this AGI, as we were talking about,
Mm,
right? People
mm.
say that there is this secret project going on in OpenAI.
Yes,
It's called
yes.
Q Star, right? Nobody really knows what exactly it is or what its potential is, but apparently Sam Altman was like leading that project, and he wanted to uh, take it ahead as much as possible, but there were issues with Ilya about the regulations. That's why
Mm,
he was fired. And then a lot of stuff happened, and he was rehired back as the CEO. What that incident tells us basically is that not just Ilya, who's the board member of OpenAI, also reactions from Elon Musk about slowing down the pace of AI. What they tell us is that it's uncharted territory which we are delving into, and we need to understand that we need to tread slowly.
yes.
That's
Yes.
the main thing.
Very important.
Uh, so yeah, that's one. Talking about the challenges to the students, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge to AI, as I said, is that humans don't really understand it, and they just want to run, and this might cause a lot of problems. So that's the main thing we need to think about. We need to think and then proceed. Then
Right.
about the students in the job market. Just give me a second, my laptop, I need to put on charge,
Yeah, but
otherwise.
what you said was very interesting in terms of, in running away from it is not the problem, is not the solution, it's the problem. Because, even when you sometimes when, and we've seen this in so many things before, when I remember mom and dad used to tell me when computers, and you'll remember this as well, when computers came, most offices did not want them.
Hmm.
Most government offices employees were reluctant of having computers in the government setting, right? And the first
Right.
this thing was, no, no, we will do it by hand only. Even today my mother will not make a presentation on her computer, and she has a really good device, but like, either
Right,
I will make it,
adoption.
yeah, or she will, like, write it out. So that has been a problem with our people, especially.
See, adoption has been a problem with every new thing that has happened. That is there. That will be there. It will take time. For example, like Facebook's metaverse, we talk about that there be a whole world digital, right? We'll have our own personas, and we'll have concerts and whatnot in that metaverse. Sounds very dystopian, very depressing. Definitely for a person like me, also, it does feel very depressing, and I would not want such things to become virtual. uh, that's an extreme case again.
Mm,
But with simpler things also, for example, Apple's this new headset that was released, that also, it's not very easy for people to adopt such new things, and of course there will be criticism.
yeah.
So with AI also, yeah, we don't need to run away from AI totally, because it's new and we don't understand it. Similarly, the people who are on the other side, who are actually taking this AI thing ahead, they should not run away from regulations. They should not run
Yes,
away from scrutiny.
yes,
That
yes.
is also very important. That's
That's
something that
very
should
important
go
balance.
hand in hand.
Yes.
And last year, when Sam Altman was faced with the US Congress, he did promise that 20% of the efforts and the money of OpenAI will go to regulations only. And he opened a different branch within the company and all of that. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, but like at least
But yeah.
it's a step, and that way, the U.S. Congress really does not, take these things lightly. I think there was a hearing with Meta, Zuckerberg also, and there
Hmm.
was like, I like that they like to stay on top of things, but
They
my
do.
my worry is that by the time this gets to the other countries where the current, because other issues have been made bigger than the actual pressing issues at hand. There's so much polarization, there's poverty, there's malnutrition, there is all sorts of problems that we have
True.
not read. For example, in many developing countries, those have not
Mhm.
been sort of dealt with, and now there is, on top of that, there is AI which is sitting there to widen that gap even more. That scares me a little bit. But priorities need to be right, and they need to be like, the actions need to be swift in that regard.
it's also a matter of where do the government's intentions lie,
Yes,
because
yes, that's also important.
you can think of talking to the governments. The governments can create regulations. I believe this year only in June there's going to be a bill passed about AI regulations in India. The it's already in talks with the prime minister, and the minister of IT is has already proposed some ideas to him. But the official bill will be passed this June. But again, not just about India, globally, all countries, see, they have their own agendas, right? They have their own things to follow, and whatever regulations and whatever things they do, uh, there will be some
Yeah,
what can I say, so some other factors at play there as well,
power.
right? So that will also be interesting how that turns out, because AI, chat gpt, all other methods which are using AI, they are basically working on data collected,
Yes, which is why data is becoming the next, the next big thing.
big commodity, right? And as much as they track us, the better they get to know us, the better they get to manipulate us, which has happened, which is not anything new. You see in the last elections in UK,
Yeah.
people got personalized ads and they got mind washed, and they
We just
voted
got
for.
WhatsApp messages. I mean, I got a WhatsApp message. I think that's a whole other fiasco. Did you get a message from our Prime Minister on your WhatsApp?
I
Everybody
did.
got, I think.
Yes, yes,
And I
yes.
think that has become raised like some concerns with certain sections in terms of, how much of personal promotions and like, inbox and all of this in terms of
Oh,
campaign.
that's a whole discussion of its own, Sumara, because then we are going to talk about Pegasus and whatnot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's just keep that for a part two.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
That'll
So,
take another hour.
so in
Yeah.
terms of the most important challenge that I identified while I was researching, and given that
Hmm.
has worked in education, for all her life, I understood that there is a big problem with our curriculum also, which is causing the skills gap in students who are entering the field, the needs of the field, and what they're coming start, from in terms of, the outdated curriculums. And what do you have an insight on that as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, see, me having studied myself from a very, we have tiers of colleges in India, right?
Yeah,
I have done my engineering from a tier three college.
right.
So I know the curriculum in tier three colleges across India a little bit well. And the one thing is that adoption is very late here. What
Hmm.
we were studying was already outdated at the time I was studying. So expecting them to adopt all of these things,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Maybe tier 1, tier 2 colleges would try to adopt, but see, again, if you talk about India specifically, let's be very clear here. The ground truth is, as far as AI is there, uh, the job market is such that if you talk about Microsoft, for example, if
Hmm.
there are 1,000 people working in a team, there would be a team of say around 20 people who would really be having working in AI, and then there would be 5 people who would really be on the research level in
Right.
AI. So
Right.
that's the kind of the ratio that is there, right?
Hmm.
uh, so what I'm trying to say is the number of jobs is very less. How it's portrayed, that can be very different. It can be like, for example, X company had 2 jobs in AI, and then it started having 4 jobs in AI,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it is portrayed as that 50% increase in the jobs in AI. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's the
So the
same
number
thing
of
as I was
jobs.
like reading this argument about somebody said that, Ambani spent so much on the wedding, but actually they spent like 0.01% of their actual wealth. So like
Right, exactly.
understanding that as well, like, if you look at Ambani's and you want to spend like them, but you don't earn like them, then that's a problem. It's the game of numbers as well. So I think like, also in terms of perceptions, it's sort of from whatever I have spoken to students, they're scared in colleges
Mm,
right now because so much is happening and nobody's teaching them that what you were talking about. And I want to ask you, why is this there a difference in the way curriculums are
mm,
in engineering colleges versus like I went to media school in
mm,
undergraduate, right? and I did it in Bhopal only, right? But
Mhm,
and I didn't go to like some Harvard or something. But
mhm,
whatever they were teaching in the top schools in the world at that
mhm,
time was in my curriculum also. We had C4D, which nobody had heard about at that point. This I'm talking about
mhm,
in 2016. That we had done
mhm,
communication for development, and we had done these photojournalistic exercises. We had like diverse classes because journalists sort of need to, sort of know every aspect of the society. The curriculum was redone every year. It was updated every year, and it had the latest trends. Same with Monash when I went to Australia. The minute COVID hit, our handbook changed. And that
mhm,
was a
mhm,
different field than journalism and media. That was political
mhm.
science and IR. And COVID was immediately inculcated into the syllabus. But I don't see this in engineering worldwide, that this quick change in adoption specifically happens late for engineering, which leads to a lot more problems later on. But shouldn't it be happening with engineering and tech courses first?
See, we are producing a lot of engineers in India,
Yeah.
and if we talk about India in specific, so we get outsourced work from countries like US and UK,
Hmm.
right? What work gets outsourced? Mostly development work, where we have coders, we have programmers who work
Hmm.
on a cheaper rate than
Yeah.
a person working in the US or UK would, right? That's the work the masses in Indian IT industry are doing. On the other hand, you take a guy who's working in the AI industry, who's a proper AI researcher or an engineer
Yeah.
working in a Google or Amazon level company or Microsoft level company in the US. Uh, what it takes for them to be there? Firstly, they have to be very, very, very intelligent, and then they have to have a long and good education, including a 7-year PhD or something like that.
Yeah.
So it has to be very, very difficult and long, which usually us Indians are not very ready to do.
Yeah.
We just want to get our degrees and get into jobs, including
But
myself.
mangni but yeah. But with the job.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. So I guess that's one of the reasons why in the universities are also like, okay, just let our curriculum be what it is. They
Yeah.
will anyway study some programming language and get a job, and they'll figure out their life themselves.
And they do. Most of them do. Look at yourself. Look at the and I don't know how surprisingly all my friends are engineers for some reason. Like everybody is an engineer and they're all doing well. And nobody knew the A of AI when they were studying. But now they're like, one of my friends is working with AI development with one firm in India. I'm like, how are you working in AI development? You were like, you were a baby when AI wasn't even a thought. But over the years, Indians are also very good at acquiring skills when they need to for their jobs. That I have.
Indians are the source of the world's
Yeah.
knowledge on YouTube. You search for anything on YouTube, you'll find some South Indian or Bihari guy on YouTube explaining the concept
And
in detail,
beautifully, like beautifully.
beautifully, with
Yeah.
examples and everything.
What are we
So yeah,
doing right
Indians
now,
are
man?
famous for
What
that.
we are also doing the same thing.
True. Maybe someday some guy will be watching us and thinking the same thing. Oh, what an irony.
But
True, true,
yeah,
true.
but I also want to talk to you about in terms of the lack of hands-on experience in Indian engineering schools. Did you face that? Do you feel that that's a thing?
True, up to an extent. Again, in my experience, the kind of college I was in, uh, I wouldn't expect them to have the most high-end systems or anything. But yeah, me being in the CS department, all of us had our own systems set up at our home, and the kind of
Another
things
thing.
we needed to do were we were able to
There's
figure
an
out.
alternate like reality going on in terms of engineering students. Like people who are really interested in the field will find that, some jugaad, some way of, staying on top of things.
Now, see, you have to consider this entire situation with the time that we are in right now,
Hmm.
right? It's very important if we are thinking it from a perspective of AI.
Hmm.
Right now, the kind of AI that is being developed,
Hmm.
uh, for a person, if he wants to get into that field, into the AI development field, a let's talk about the job market. The job market in the major companies, it's very, very minimal. Otherwise, we have some startups where a person can hope to get a job.
Hmm.
So, okay, let's target that small section. If a person wants to get there, what can they do? They can probably start out with learning languages like Python, then a little bit of some libraries which are being used in data manipulation, and they can probably get some knowledge on data science. But also, then the kind of jobs that they will most probably get would not be research related in AI, which they
Hmm.
would want.
Yeah.
They would majorly be like, data cleaning, data mining, or data engineering, feature engineering, things like those, though, which are basically, in simpler words, if we say, like data entry wale kaam hote hain na, wo
Huh.
sab milenge. So
Right.
it's not something that a person would want to target at this point, but still, uh,
To have in
it's
your
not all. Yes, it's not all dark. If you really think you have that in you, you want to do that, you can do that. You have to go the long way. You have to definitely have some good education, hopefully, probably from a good university, from the US or UK would be great. But expecting to get a good AI job in India with the kind of education that we have, it's very difficult.
But I also
Then,
feel that, just sorry, just branching off of what you said, it just in terms of getting your education from the US and UK, I was thinking that okay, and this is very strictly from my perspective of being a political scientist, from my perspective of being an IR student, a political science student. What concepts we discussed in school were way better taught and way better foundations were laid for us in school than it was done here in a university level.
hmm,
So there is a huge gap. So I still reference back to my NCRTs when I want to learn, go back to the foundational concepts. I still have them here.
mhm,
Like, most of those books that you see at back, there are all Indian authors. Most of them are school.
mhm,
But I think because our Indian system and Indian education system in its in its core is very good with concepts. I feel
mhm.
that there is, with a little bit of adoption, with a little bit of, coming of age, curriculums, we don't really need to send people outside to study. We really don't, because we have some of the most genius minds working in India and
I
teaching.
do agree. I do agree. People might not have that level of skill that they can be hired onto those critical positions, but the companies need to understand that. We can believe it, but the companies need to understand that what the companies want is, if you expect a person right out of college to be hired for those positions, hopefully, uh, they most probably wouldn't be
Not at this point, not at this
out of an Indian university, or otherwise they would be required to have at least like 5 to 7 years of experience. If you go to any website of Google or Meta careers website and you see
point.
some
All
AI
at least
consultant,
5 years, three
uh,
years to build entry level है.
5 to 7 in fact. So that's
Oh,
why it's
I'm
impossible
glad
for
I'm in this field, Baba.
but it's not all bad. It's not all
No,
bad.
but I think we have
uh,
potential in terms of curriculum also. Like once we update things a little bit and we really understand that okay, bhai, दुनिया बदल रही है. अभी हमको we need to be at par with our international other universities, and we need to be at par with other international students. Our students need to have the same capability. The minute that ground up work is done in education, no, not top down, ground up. That feedback loop has to be ground up. When that happens, I think we'll be in a pretty good shape. But yeah, also coming to what we were talking about earlier, what are some good sides to AI in terms of opportunities for students that you think, or like for the landscape in general, the job market in general?
hmm. See, one thing is, if we talk about job market, uh, right now the jobs that we are doing, we can leverage AI in a lot of ways. That's one thing. There are 100 ways that we can increase our own productivity. So using AI for our current jobs, that's the main thing that we should be focusing on right now. As of the job markets for Indians right now, it's very, very minimal, very, very lean. So that's something that I honestly don't think that students should be focusing on right now. If they want to get into the IT industry, there are other areas that would be easier for them to get into. Uh, and as you were saying, right, a lot of your friends are engineers all around. Uh, we are not among the top 1%, right? We are
Yeah,
among maybe the top 20 or 50%, and we are doing all right. We are not doing
fine.
absolutely phenomenal. We are doing all right for ourselves. uh, so if you do want to get into the industry and be able to lead a good life, like an all right life, that's not going to be difficult for you if you don't focus on AI right now. If you focus on AI, it's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to be a long road.
It's
Now,
almost
now,
like, you're competing with this emerging trend which some people have already mastered, but there is
hmm,
still need for what you are doing in your, capacity or whatever you know till now. So might as well just,
yeah,
take it one step at a time.
true,
Is that
true,
correct?
true. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And what's good as far as AI and job opportunities are there? I mean, it's a matter of speculation. A student can learn whatever they want to, and nowadays we are having so much information, and children after 2005, 2010 are growing up with such a huge amount of information around them that they're much much smarter than us. And who knows? I mean, what they can do. Maybe we'll have some Sam Altman of our own one of these years. Who knows?
Yeah, but I
It's
was
all
really thinking, imagine if we were in school and AI had come and those Teachers' Day programs would completely, that would be a serious, serious problem in terms of the kind of music we would make and the kind of, setups we would do. And like, yeah, it would have been just amazing. For
fun fact, there's a tool. You can put a song into it, and you can just ask it to change it to someone else's voice, or you can just ask it to like put it into a guitar version of it, acoustic guitar version of it, or a piano version of it. It feels illegal.
Wait, can
You
any of
should not be
these
allowed to do
tools,
that.
can any of these tools put sur in my voice when I sing?
I think AI has still not reached that point.
So I will have to
But it
learn.
might soon. It might soon. Maybe in another 50 years.
You can teach me before that. But anyway, another fun,
Oh,
little lighter note question. Why are
yeah,
engineers,
yeah.
not in general, but more proportionately engineers so antisocial, man? What is happening in your universities that, I think you are an aberration, but you're an aberration also because of the schooling you had, which I know because we went to the same school and you was 2 years senior to me. But yeah, what is going on? Why it's like so? Okay, I live with an engineer as well, and
Hmm.
I have not heard him talk to friends in 2 years. I have not heard him like raise like talk in a certain social like sort of that tone that you have, right? That I can talk to anybody sort of attitude, or like even a decibel that is a little higher for me to easily hear. And that is not just this one person. I have a good sample size of this. What is going on in engineering colleges? Why are more engineers like this?
I don't know if it's just specific to engineers, but I guess I mean we
Men.
all yeah, it's common. I mean, we don't know how to deal with this corporate life in general, and it's a matter of person's own choice. I believe that they want to go out on weekends, or they want to sleep their weekends through.
It has nothing to do with this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Just like I like to sleep in as well, but I'm also a very like very social chatty person. Hence the podcast. Like, but also
That's my point, right? It's not specific to engineers. I am an engineer. I just returned from a 2 week trip to Goa.
patient is what
So,
it's like this is like okay, so I'll tell you what happened when I was conceptualizing this podcast, and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to an engineer. And the first thing that my like a lot of my friends who are engineers themselves said कि कोई इंजीनियर इतनी देर तुमसे 1 घंटे बैठ के बात नहीं करेगा इतने सारे टॉपिक्स पे. उसके दो रीजन है. पहला, उनको नहीं करनी है, they have other better things to do. And
उनको
second,
नहीं करनी है.
and there are better things to do. And second thing is that they don't care that much. You know that it's like आग का दरिया है, डूब के जाना है तो वो डूब के सीख रहे हैं basically.
नहीं,
And
पर
I'm like,
इसमें क्या है ना कि
ये
हम
मैंने किसी
इंजीनियर बहुत
और फील्ड के लिए नहीं सुना ये.
we engineers are very selfish. So the reason I took CS is not because of the love for computers. It was for the love of money, right? And if anything comes to threaten our jobs,
Yeah,
in AI is right now the biggest threat as we are hearing. So we have to learn about it. Anyway, specifically software industry is such that languages get outdated. We get new languages, new technologies each day. We have to keep ourselves updated. That's what one of my major tragedies of life is. As you know, that I am not somebody who was majorly into studying or academics, very active into academics or anything, and I wanted to run away as far as I could from it. But now I'm
you
stuck in a
did.
position where I have to keep myself updated. It's just that the domain has changed. It isn't maths anymore, though I still get those nightmares. But I will have to keep myself updated, as else I'll like
Yeah, but
fall behind.
I think it also comes from the fact that there is this tendency of like, the more people that have sharper minds tend to speak
Hmm.
less and like tend to interact less. And the way I see it personally is that उनको mental level match करने वाले लोग ही नहीं मिलते आधे से ज़्यादा time. So
Oh wow.
that's the case with a lot of engineers. Like the people that I'm talking about, the people that I've grown up with, the people who are working in these excellent companies, sitting here, like, in these companies that I'm talking about, these are some of the most genius minds I've ever interacted with. But you really need to know the person to, for them to be able to talk and then for you to really understand that, okay, this is a goddamn genius person. But on the surface level, it just looks like what even I look like that in, in my university, this nerd with specs down and just my book in my hand. And, but until you talk to me, you don't know. So,
True, true, true.
I think any geniusness comes a little bit of reclusivity and some reservations of, social this thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess we should not put that cliche because see, I'm talking so much and everybody knows I'm a genius, right?
Onwards.
Yeah, next question.
No, but you are, and at least in what you do, I have seen like, I don't know, I never knew why you chose CS actually. Why are so many people choosing CS? Like why is it the preferred field over mechanical?
That's an interesting question. I guess it again comes down to placements. Companies choosing CS engineers over mechanical. I started out as a mechanical engineer.
How did I not know that?
I did a month in a mechanical branch, and then I found out that companies in tier 3 colleges don't hire as much mechanical engineers. So the ones who need to get hired in good organizations either move to Germany or they just change their career paths totally. So then I
Completely. They
figured that
become excellent YouTubers and they bring social change in a different manner altogether. So hats off to those engineers as well,
hats off to
man.
those. Really. I was watching his video today, and I
Yeah,
was thinking that
let's just put it out there. We're talking about Dhruv Rathi, and I think he's done some really, really good research work with his videos. I was actually
absolutely.
surprised when he said that he's an engineer, and he used to be a very shy kid when he was younger, and like um, but the way he talks and the amount of analysis he has, it's so good. It's so simple, it's plain sight, but it needs to be told, and he does it really well. And like I think that's also an engineering skill only, that something so obvious but you put it out like in a way that people understand, and
Very
that's
easy to understand, and he's really worked on himself over these years. You watch his videos, not very old ones even. If you just go back 3 years, 4 years, and watch
different.
how he used to present and how he presents it now, he's really improved.
He's
And
my favorite binge watching thing when I'm over here. This is how him and
he's
Akaash Banerjee, shout out to these two people. I have everything that's happening in India with every little issue I know because of these two people. And
wow.
yeah, of course, independent news laundry sort of platforms, and they're doing such amazing work is coming out of and interestingly, every field has either an ex-engineer or an engineer who changed fields, or an engineer who just like decided, yeah, I will also do this now.
It's interesting because software engineering, I guess it does apply to other forms of engineering as well, but specifically software engineering, it's essentially problem solving.
Yes, yes, very true, very true,
It's
very
problem
true.
solving, and you can apply those skills anywhere in your life. Or I'm trying to flex here, but it's kind of true. You can apply that critical thinking to other parts of life, and
Maybe actually, okay,
maybe
on
it
a
has
light
some part of
note,
it.
maybe that's actually
Mhm.
why I have such, no need for any new friends because like all my friends are engineers and all my problems are just solved so nicely because they're all like they're native problem solvers. So,
You
and
know
then
they're going to be watching this, right? They might abandon you. Wow.
yeah, I love you all.
Amazing.
Please don't leave me. Okay. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about first, like concluding the conversation that we were having on AI and GPT, I wanted to also ask you why did you say that those GPT models that came from Chat GPT didn't do that well?
So Google released its Bard AI recently, right? And it failed miserably. Then
Yes.
it released its Gemini AI recently, which is doing a little bit better, but recently only it gave some results which were not in accordance with a certain government, which I'm not going to name, and it had to publicly apologize. And there were things like that. Now, basically, we also have to understand why these models don't work as well as ChatGPT does, because it has been trained on a way larger data set
Mm.
than these newer ones.
But
And the
doesn't
better
Google
it
have
gets
the
trained,
most amount of data?
uh, it so it's not just a matter of Google does not have a data of its own, right?
Mm.
Google is like the middleman who fetches data from other places and gives it. Now, for example, you have to get all the data from Wikipedia. Then you'll have to talk to Wikipedia for that. You'll have to get the right licenses.
Right.
Google is not the owner of that data. It's just a person who fetches that data for you, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the thing. Uh, that's a very layman explanation of it. There will be a lot deeper technical aspects to it, but the basic idea is that those AIs were not as well trained as
Mm.
ChatGPT was,
Mm.
right? And that's why it did not perform as well. People tried to jump onto that train, but they couldn't.
Mm.
Microsoft also released their own Bing AI, that also failed. Now Microsoft has 49% stake in OpenAI, and they are hoping to get something done out of that. And as soon as Sam Altman was fired, Microsoft also tried to hire Sam Altman as
Yeah.
a
Yeah. I see
leading team of yeah, and all the developers also were about to come to Microsoft to
whole drama going
carry
on
on that
every
entire
day.
project.
It's
I heard
so
it was very interesting. I
full
loved it.
drama going on. Every day there was some new article. Like I was like, this Karan Johar should direct this man. This is so amazing.
But personal thing here, what I always wonder is they are really hiding the real thing from us.
Yes. Yes.
What's out there available in the public, if
Of
that
yes.
is so powerful, imagine what they are hiding from us. Elon Musk or Sundar Pichai, who was it, one of those publicly stated that this evolution of AI needs to be slowed down, right? And if a person sitting at that high seat is getting scared of it, uh us commoners, we are done.
We're doomed.
Done
Yeah.
for.
No, I
Yeah.
think Elon Musk also recently put, I read yesterday, day before yesterday, last week, I think, that Elon Musk put a chip in a human brain, right?
Yes, Neuralink.
Neuralink, right?
Yes, yes.
And I don't know.
So
So,
Neuralink is a real thing now. Yes.
what is Neuralink? Can you tell us a little bit about that? From whatever
So it's
you know.
also, yeah, sure. So it's also something that's under development. But what they are trying to do is they are trying to manipulate the brain waves that are there, right? And they are trying to extract them and sort of like a Bluetooth thing, send them out to a certain system and perform some task that you are thinking maybe, things like that.
That's scary.
And tests are being done on animals, I suppose. A lot of things are going on, but I don't know exactly what it has reached, what stage it is in, but it's something like that, sort of an augmented humanoid kind of a thing.
This will be, I
Like,
think, stronger than the AGI.
yes, because it might have a part of like a human intelligence and an artificial intelligence to it.
Strongest
But
possible intelligence then.
again, yeah, it's also a matter of speculation, because humans can be creative, they can think, but maybe not as fast and accurate as a computer system. And it's all a matter of speculation how good AGI can be.
Hmm.
We don't really know, we can't really say right now.
So, okay, so now the other question that I wanted to ask you is that there is this certain set of people which are definitely not going to benefit. There is going to be inequalities, widened, all of those widened gaps between several sects in the society. But then there are some beneficiaries as well. One I can think of is the government. If it has a certain, and it can go both ways, whether or not a populist government, whether or not an autocrat or a democrat, there are government can sort of be the beneficiary of this from both sides, good or bad. You have a propaganda,
Mm,
it can, AI can help you do that. You want real
mm.
development, you want to understand problems at the grassroots level, you can do that as well. So government can definitely be one beneficiary. What are the other beneficiaries that will be of AI?
These capitalist companies and these people who just want more and more money, for sure. um, I
More
mean, see,
data for them.
yeah, that's what is happening, right? We are the commodities here, our data is being sold, and who's benefiting out of it? These big companies. Like what has been the business model of Google all these years? What has been the business model of Microsoft all these years? Like, you look into it and you see that, right, these are the big people. Elon Musk has a major stake in OpenAI.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Satya Nadella now has a major stake in OpenAI. So it's eventually going to be these people, big corporations, governments, and like when metaverse started to be to come into discussion, in the popular discussion, people started saying things like, if this really becomes a reality, then Mark Zuckerberg will be God, because he will know everything, as he already does. He has so many data points on so many people, on all the people of the world. So he controls how he wants to manipulate it. He can just click a certain profile and know what are their interests, what did they uh, look into last night at 3 a.m. It's
But then
scary.
that also comes a lot from, and I was talking to Raghu Pandey about this on the previous podcast as well, that it requires a little bit of, it's hard, but a little bit of
Mm,
educating the younger generations about what information they're giving the systems as well. Like
it's
I'm
very
pretty
important.
sure it is ultimately a device. If my phone is gathering information about me, I'm sure right now there are things I can do to change, what information I give it or I don't give it. I still don't have the face um author the unlocking with the face thing. I don't know what that is called. I have a latest phone, but I don't keep my face as like, nobody's scanning my face for anything. That is the one problem I had with Digiyatra also. That,
Hmm.
where is this data going to go? I might
Hmm.
still give it to the government, but I'm not giving it to my phone.
Oh, you think your data is not already there with the government?
That's another thing, but ठीक है मेरे पैसे भी हमें तो सब जानते हैं कोई बात नहीं. But yeah, on that note, yes, that is true, and there are causes of concern to even give your data to government on that levels. True, but like you don't want, if you don't want to set up your face as your unlocking mechanism on the phone, you don't do it. I'm sure there are things you can do to stop that or reduce the flow of data. No.
No, unless you go and live on a. I mean, since your birth, you go and live on a lonely island and under a rock. Even then, there's a chance of a Google Maps satellite scanning you sometime, maybe. But it's really beyond us now.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
really, really beyond. You should watch. You should watch Snowden. It's going to be an interesting watch for you.
You
Snowden.
will
It's a
only
movie
send.
about Edward Snowden. Sure. And then there's another documentary I watched on Netflix. It's a very interesting documentary. It's called The Social Dilemma.
Okay.
Maybe you would have watched it already, but if you haven't, as you were talking about educating the younger generation, right? So we humans are always craving for attention, and that is the main thing that has led to the growth of these social media platforms, Chinese or non-Chinese both, so fast, right? So we need to know that what is being done to us and who is really benefiting out of it. For each click, for each data point, who's getting the money out of it. The Social Dilemma explains it the best, how each of your choices affecting your kind of digital persona that is there, that they are forming, based on which they are targeting you. And like there's another interesting thing, there's a YouTube video where a person just randomly speaks out about dog toys, right?
Hmm.
Toys for dogs. And he talks about it for like 20-25 seconds, and
And
then
it
he
is so
randomly
true.
opens 10-15 websites. Yeah, and then you might have seen that one. It's a very popular one. Yes.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things, conspiracy theories and things like that. It's a rabbit hole, but I
Yes, but
think
it's
one thing
there for
we
a reason. I mean, it is there for a reason. Like, I mean, I wanted to before this, I wanted to believe that, I can change my phone settings and I will be all fine. But then I talked to an engineer and then I realized that no, that's not the case anymore.
Delulu is the Solulu. That's what one should live by. That's what one should live by. The lesser you know.
But that's, yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah, in life and as far as these data things and AI things go.
जो होना है वो होना है,
तो होना
क्या
है
ही
वो
कर
होना है.
लोगे. There's another question that I wanted to ask you about entrepreneurship in India. That, a lot of people have been saying and a lot of reports have been coming out that नौकरियां तो अब है नहीं. ठीक है, सरकारी हो या वो भी हो, बहुत बहुत लिमिटेड नौकरियां. There are very few number of jobs in India
Hmm,
at this point. But
hmm,
because of AI, a whole new section of entrepreneurship opens up, new
hmm.
startups, new everything. Do you think that's a real, there's some reality to that trend, or is it just being overly optimistic?
It's being overly optimistic. There aren't as many AI startups. There are not as many opportunities in AI as such. And as we discussed, right, the opportunities that are there are really more like data entry kind of jobs, or
But
data
no scope
manipulation,
for
data cleaning, those sort
creating.
of jobs.
So no, so like, is there also no scope for creating more of those opportunities in the current landscape?
Of course there's, but right now we don't have as much of it. It is evolving. It's yet to be seen at what pace it does evolve,
Hmm.
because AI itself is unexplored really right now. People are getting interested, getting to learn about it, its applications. Uh, we don't know how it will turn out to be, because a while ago people were talking about metaverse as if that's really going to be the next thing, but right now we don't see it as much in conversations, right?
Apple
uh,
also had the Vision Pro glass, the Vision glasses, right? Didn't I think they didn't do that well.
um I don't know, but I do see a lot of people, a lot of posts here and there, people sitting in. There was a recent post I saw, somebody in Bengaluru
I
sitting in
sent
a
you that.
restaurant.
That where, yeah,
You
and
sent me that?
I sent you that. That,
No, he was on a virtual date.
I mean,
So
there
I
was
guess
this
people
guy.
are getting interested.
There was a guy this other day who's crossing the road with those glasses on, and he's doing something in his virtual world, and I'm like, this
We
is.
are seeing such examples, no? Yeah.
Yeah, but then, like, also risks to it. So, like you said, it's so uncharted, it's like unexplored. People don't know the risks, don't know the possibilities. There needs to be some sort of, SWOT analysis on the top level to understand where we're headed, what we
What
need.
I can advise to whoever is probably feeling a little worried or threatened by all of this is that stay in the loop.
Hmm.
Keep watching the news, keep yourself updated with what's really going on, and you never know, these days new things are coming up so fast and getting adopted and changing the entire landscape of the industry so quickly. You really need to be on your toes until we really know that what this is, what is going to be the impact of this entire evolution. But it's here to stay, that is for sure. AI is not going anywhere. AI will definitely take up a lot of the job market. A lot of jobs will be cut. But I think it was a recent research by World Economic Forum that by 2030, AI will take up something like 85 million jobs, but it will also create like 97 million jobs.
Okay, so when you
Now,
look at it
what?
like that in the full, while you, if you didn't complete that sentence, then it was a different picture. And by the time you reach the end of that sentence, yeah, that also seems okay.
Yes, yes. So there will have to be people who would probably need to tell the AI what to do.
But then that leads me to the question that there's also going to require a little bit of upskilling and reskilling of people in the industry.
Yes, yes, yes. So right now people are learning Chat GPT to, and there are like other AI tools as well, like Mid Journey for image creation, DALI, various tools here and there. People are learning those, how to give them the right prompts to be able to really get it. The adoption is happening, and I think as of the Indian students, Indian scenario, we cannot expect the academic system to cope with it uh, as soon as we would want it to. We would have to take up an individual effort if we want to really be head to head with the other for US, for example. And this thing, right? There was an ad recently which came to my mind while I was talking about this. I think it was Under Armour, which recently released an ad entirely made from AI. So there
Hmm.
was a recent boxing match which was very popular and controversial about these two guys, Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. And Anthony Joshua being one of the most popular boxers in the world, he's the one of the most famous ones. His digital clone was like kind of taken into that ad, and an entire minute long ad was created from AI. And it was very controversial because this will impact like the entire advertisement
Yeah.
industry,
And even, yeah,
right?
exactly, the entire entertainment industry per se, that what we started out talking about, like, you might, it's very interesting, but a few weeks ago, my dad said that I told him that I'm talking about AI and I'm doing this, and he was like, हो सकता है थोड़े दिन के बाद एक्टर्स की जरूरत ही ना पड़े, तुम्हारा एआई ही एक्टिंग करने लगे. And I'm like, पापा कुछ भी, half the times I'm like, पापा कुछ भी मत बोलो. But
Uncle
after
was making sense, which is he
yes.
does make sense.
Yes. And then now when you say this, I'm like, yeah, actually, he was making sense. It's pretty possible. Like, and there are problems with actors scheduling dates. So there's conflict, or like you need a little bit of guest appearance. You just take a digital clone of an actor and you're done. And,
Yes, it's very much possible.
and they will probably still get paid through copyright and all of those regulations, but
Right,
they don't
right,
need to be
right.
physically there. And it's like, yeah, I want to go before that happens.
My mom, same, same. My own mom was like saying that, would we even want to be alive in
Yeah.
such a world where most things are virtual? That's a another discussion to it entirely. That, what sort of a world would that be?
I
I
just
wouldn't.
remembered some very interesting article from that what you were saying. There is this a lot of speculation, and you know how internet is, right? And like some of the most bizarre theories from nowhere, Quora and Reddit and all these. That Kalki avatar of Vishnu
Mhm.
can be AI. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
and I have not been able to, as much as I like, I have read all about it as much as I'm into it, and I have usually I refute these things right away. Like, I had a bit, this is going a bit too far. But I haven't been able to refute this one so far in my own head. Like, हाँ कि ये तो हो ही नहीं,
Uh,
हो सकता है भाई.
let's not get into the religious things, but
despite keeping all of that aside, I think it's
Did
just to say that the diverse fields that this thought is going into, um,
uh-huh.
of this
It's
AI,
interesting.
it's very interesting. I don't think any of these are just theories, and I don't think they are true. But the level at which people are thinking of AI and where it looks like, what it looks like in the future, it's very interesting. It's just
This avatar thing, right? That's what we call our digital identities, like in the video games and everything,
yes,
right?
I know I'm not living under a rock. Like I have my own avatars also.
Which is the last video game that you played?
Yeah, maybe wait, I have to
Right. All right. All right. Road Rash? Mario?
GTA Vice.
Vice City. Oh, I didn't expect that.
You only
Good.
thought, what do you mean you didn't expect that? I also played
That was
Mario.
in that was in 1928.
You're not Azad then.
But I wasn't expecting
Studied some
Vice City
history.
from
Yeah.
good.
But now
Better than Mario.
I'm trying to play the Superman game now on PS5. But I'm so
Oh,
bad at
that your guy has
yeah,
basically.
I'm just so
Is he
bad at
teaching
it.
you?
Huh?
Is he teaching you how to play it? Do you
No, so I'm in a dilemma. The thing is that if I learn, then I will be very competitive and then I would want to play all the time. So if I
it
don't
is
learn, then
addictive.
I'm saving time.
Don't learn. Don't learn. Otherwise,
Yeah.
rest of the things are gone.
Yeah. Otherwise, this podcast is then done for. Like, ho gaya.
Ah, this is done
This
for
is
sure.
done for. I'm very interested. I'd
You'll
rather
be
stay.
playing Superman all day.
And then
Ask me. I just bought my PlayStation like couple months ago. You know, right?
yes.
So I know. I know how it goes.
Yes.
Been
But
there,
that
done that.
that that was a wrap on this part one of our conversation, because the second one I'm going to be doing with you and solely on music. With
Oh
or
wow.
without AI is completely your discretion, but I want to do a music podcast with you. But thank you for taking the time. This was so interesting. I learned a lot of things. When I was usually looking at YouTubers and podcasts, and like, people saying that they learn through podcasts, I was like, this is scripted. But no, it's true. Now when I'm here and I'm seeing, there's so much that I learned over just the two podcasts that I've recorded. There's so much more to learn from so many people like
Oh
you.
no, we all learn, and I also got to know a lot of things from you. And thank you for having me. And this didn't feel like a podcast at all because
Yes.
we, anyways, keep talking about various
Anybody
things
who
going
knows
on
us
around
knows
us.
that this was more like, a
This
conversation
was
that
just another chat being recorded, but it was interesting. Yeah, I was actually watching a couple things about AI today,
yeah,
since we had to have some discussion about it, and I got to learn a lot. I got
yeah.
really interested, and I will continue this research because of you.
Thank
Yeah, so thank
you.
you. It was lovely.
We will do this again, and until then, you take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Audio Jungle.